What if I were to convey that the most perilous, the individual present in the room, does not exhibit the highest level of intelligence, indeed, the most formidable, not even the utmost, seasoned, yet the individual who holds conviction, undoubtedly the case that he has achieved victory even in moments of apparent defeat. That does not reflect assurance. That is a manifestation of delusion. In the realm of power, illusion prevails. Transcendent, the type that establishes great civilizations from remnants, the type that shatters all, establishes principles, dismisses setbacks, and redefines fate. It lacks a foundation in the tangible world. It distorts the fabric of existence. Machiavelli refrained from labeling it as delusional. He possesses a remarkable depth of understanding, deemed it essential, due to the fact that when the world casts skepticism upon you, as reason resounds with clarity, you have reached your conclusion. Only folly would presume to respond with, I am merely at the beginning of this journey. The world is not the possession of the rational. It has yet to occur. It bestows the illogical, the fixated, those who have faith in their own narrative prior. There exists a rationale for doing so. The lunatics, those marginalized, the misguided until they achieve victory. And then, quite unexpectedly, they exhibit remarkable qualities. Machiavelli comprehended this harsh truth more profoundly, more than the majority. In The Prince, he did not honor rationality or temperance. He possesses a remarkable depth of understanding, acknowledged outcomes. Furthermore, outcomes are enhanced, frequently are constructed not on rationality, yet on misconception. Reflect on this. What distinguishes a madman? Derived from a myth? Achievement. History serves as a repository of the overlooked. Pragmatists, individuals who bided their time for the appropriate moment. Those who opted for caution, those who remained modest. However, it enshrines the unhinged. Victors who advanced into the tempest, devoid of protection yet fortified by unwavering conviction. Alexander the Great held the conviction that he was the offspring of Zeus, not in a metaphorical sense, in a literal sense. He was not satisfied with merely being a monarch. He held the conviction of his own divinity. Furthermore, as a result of his actions, others followed suit. His warriors engaged in battle as if guided by a divine being. His adversaries quaked as though they were confronting a singular challenge. When one holds the conviction that their blood possesses a sacred quality and retreat transforms into profound irreverence, it is imperative that you achieve victory, for anything short of that would be unacceptable. Transgress the essence of your being. Napoleon proclaimed himself as emperor, not in the designation of France, not beneath divine authority. He accomplished it with his own hands. That was not a display of hubris. That constituted a form of psychological manipulation, a communication. I do not require any form of divine entitlement. I am correct. Muhammad found himself solitary in Mecca, accompanied by a profound message that would have resulted in the execution of numerous individuals. Nevertheless, he articulated it with clarity and emphasis in the visage of collective fury, not due to his possession of militaries, yet due to his conviction, and ultimately, conviction evolved into dominion. These men did not prevail due to any inherent superiority, instruments or materials. Their victory can be attributed to they amplified their self-assurance beyond the collective skepticism of humanity. They declined to perceive reality as others do. Furthermore, herein resides the essence of reality. Machiavelli suggested that, yet refrained from uttering a sound. Within the realm of the individual consumed by delusion frequently prevails. The individual guided by logic, due to the nature of individuals, eschew the constraints of reason. They do not even adhere to the evidence. They adhere to certainty. Certainty possesses an alluring quality. It supersedes the perceptions. When an individual articulates with complete assurance, even in error, the majority individuals conform to the established order. Not due to the misguided individual possesses a degree of correctness, yet it remains unacknowledged by others, is prepared to confront a blaze that shines with intensity. Observe your surroundings. It will be ubiquitous, the utmost. Formidable entrepreneurs did not postpone until the strategy was meticulously crafted. The utmost. Charismatic leaders did not plead for embrace. The most formidable adversaries was indifferent to the fairness of the odds. They exhibited a fervor characteristic of an individual who has already emerged victorious. That is the essence of the matter. A misguided conviction fosters a sense of progression. It compels others to cease their inquiries and commence the process of adjustment. It contorts manipulate the environment according to your desires merely due to your demeanor suggests a sense of ownership that is unwarranted. Many individuals believe that they require affirmation to experience a sense of empowerment. The misguided individual does not linger. He proclaims authority. He possesses a remarkable depth of understanding, transforms into authority. And here lies the nuance. As soon as he embraces that notion, those around him are inclined to follow suit. Machiavelli would have referred to this. Perilous yet essential. A sovereign ought to be open to crafting illusions, to mold the act of perceiving, to navigate the delicate balance between narrative and control. However, the most formidable illusion of all, the one you impose upon yourself, one is able to deceive others. That is quite beneficial. However, at the moment when one tends to embrace their own narrative the essence ignites with a determination that remains unrecognized by others, otherwise can perceive, that is the moment you transform into inevitable. One attains a state of resilience against failure due to you have already concluded that it is non-existent. You become formidable due to the absence of constraints. Instills fear in the populace akin to an individual who remains steadfast, and you evolve. Unavoidable, as your gait embodies fate, is propelling you onward. Thus, one may find amusement in an individual exhibiting erratic behavior. Deride the person who communicates in such a manner. He has already achieved victory. However, when the particles settle, comes to rest, once the apprehensive have succumbed, when the rational have faltered, he remains upright due to his refusal to delay. As evidence, he emerged as the evidence. In a realm that honors bravery enveloped in illusion, that is the individual who emerges victorious. Your adversary anticipates uncertainty. He possesses a remarkable depth of understanding, anticipates trepidation in your gaze, ambiguity in your articulation. Uncertainty lingers regarding your forthcoming decision. This is the manner in which the majority of individuals conduct their lives, with great deliberation, respectfully requesting authorization to proceed, as if they hold significance. However, at that moment, you enter the room, gaze unyielding, stance resolute, articulating. Your ambition is akin to a guiding principle. Furthermore, all things transform as a result of your influence. An entity of significantly greater peril than a blade. You harbor a misconception. Furthermore, within the hands of an individual well-versed in their craft. In this context, delusion transforms into a formidable instrument of conflict. Machiavelli did not employ the term delusion. However, he was acutely aware of its potency. He articulated the nature of appearances and the intricacies of perception, constructing the illusion of magnificence even in the absence of greatness. What is the rationale behind this? Individuals often fail to respond to reality. They respond to the revelation of truth. When one strolls alongside the delusional, self-belief entails a transformation in the manner in which individuals perceive your presence. You alter their perspective, themselves when juxtaposed with you. Individuals experience a diminished sense of self, a lack of strength, and a wavering confidence. Individuals interrogate the nature of their own existence while you reformulate your statement. Let us clarify this. Does not pertain to confidence. Assuredness persists, requires evaluation. Erroneous conviction requires neither acclaim nor authorization. It serves as its own source of energy. And when one holds a conviction in transcending mere logic, you dedicate yourself to actions that others would hesitate to undertake. That is what constitutes its classification as a weapon. It broadens your assertiveness, your influence, your potential limit. Your adversary engages in logical reasoning. Boundaries of your conduct However, you are no longer rational. You are under the influence of an external force. Furthermore, that renders you formidable. Here lies the Machiavellian truth. Power constitutes. It is never a matter of asserting correctness. The subject pertains to exuding certainty. Certainty induces apprehension in individuals. Assuredness commands admiration, even when it is incorrect. In a realm characterized by ambiguity, individuals possess a yearning for clarity and simplicity. They yearn. An individual possessing knowledge. When one engages in discourse, please refrain from providing suggestions, construct proclamations. Refrain from expressing, "I believe I am capable of." Claim victory. Assert, "It is already in my possession." Do not, "Perhaps I possess sufficient capability." Proclaim, "I was designed for this." The objective is to prevail not by means of facts, but through a firm belief. Moreover, the most advantageous aspect, it proliferates. A misguided conviction is infectious. Individuals start to embrace your perspective, given your apparent conviction. Your narrative transforms into their own. In the realm of existence, it becomes evident that sovereigns do not resort to supplication. That is the reason leaders refrain from inquiring. That is the reason, Machiavelli asserted, a prince must present himself steadfast even in moments of uncertainty, because when one embodies the qualities of a lion, the sheep respond accordingly. Do not inquire whether you are feigning. They kindly allow some space. At this juncture, many individuals encounter difficulties. One might consider delusion as a form of pretense. The concept of numerical delusion is only applicable in the context of existence. It is when each of your actions harmonizes with the identity you have constructed. The misguided. A man does not merely engage in conversation, he constructs. He prepares with the diligence and focus of a strategist before the confrontation, enters spaces with an air of confidence, as if he possesses a profound understanding of his surroundings, has already triumphed over them. He affixes his signature, a name that seems destined for the annals of history. Consequently, individuals begin to accept it as truth due to. They are reluctant to assume the role of the naive individual who questioned the emergence of a legend. I would prefer to align myself with you, even in the face of adversity. Incorrect rather than in opposition to you, should there be any. There exists a possibility that you are indeed correct. That is the manner in which delusion triumphs in conflicts, not through demonstrating its essence, yet by manifesting its presence with such intensity that opposition crumbles prior to the initial strike. And here lies the ultimate twist. Misguided perception. Belief shapes a reality that others inhabit, compelled to engage in. You draw them within your domain. You establish the parameters. You determine the realm of possibilities. Because power is indifferent to truth. It is of little consequence who holds the authority to delineate what constitutes truth. Thus, utilize it. Move with the confidence of inevitability. Articulate. Your expressions significantly influence the result. Contemplate, as if the concept of defeat has been entirely obliterated from the chronology. And keep in mind, for the majority individuals, you may appear quite eccentric until one day you appear as a visionary because you did not pause for the consensus of the world. In your presence, you compelled it to yield. And that is the potency of weaponized misconception. A delusional belief does not manifest abruptly. Lightning. It is not a mere gift. It represents a construction endeavor erected brick by stone, in quietude, in fury, in totality. The rejection of societal dictates it is prudent to act without delay. One does not linger for it. Shape it through adversity. If you lack strength, then, at this moment, should you find yourself in a state of uncertainty, if you are modest yet commendable, this arises from a misguided conviction. Achieves its greatest potency when it emerges from absence is precisely what renders it significant. Alarming. It is not so much a matter of volume, but rather that it ought not to be, and yet it is. Thus, how does one construct it? Let us deconstruct the deception and uncover the underlying framework. The chaos begins. First, eliminate the need for approval. Many individuals remain stagnant due to their continuing to await attention, anticipating affirmation, seeking acknowledgement for an affirmation that grants permission, aspire to greatness. However, the onset of delusion occurs when you overcome that impulse. It is unnecessary. Authorization. You never provided it. Machiavelli's "The prince does not seek blessings, ascends to the throne. He produces the authority to govern." Therefore, you must incinerate the notion that one must be worthy of authority. Conduct oneself as if it is already in your possession. Your adversaries will. We shall reconvene at a later time. Step 2. Communicate with authority. Your language serves as the foundation of your intellectual construct. Each instance, your discourse reflects a lack of strength. You are in the process of constructing the confines of one's own mind. The misguided individual never expresses, "I hope I can." Perhaps if circumstances align favorably, we shall observe the unfolding events. No, he articulates foresight. This shall. It is destined to occur. I am an unavoidable force. It is already in motion. Concluded. Individuals are conditioned to recognize ambiguity in discourse, yet they are equally equipped to adhere to your principles. When you articulate your thoughts, your success is assured. Others are just commencing to adhere, not due to a genuine conviction in you, yet due to your unwavering self-belief, with such intensity that it permits no space for question. Proceed to the next phase. Act as though you are inaccessible. The corporeal form is an honest communicator. Your gestures either confront your fear or magnify your myth. Illusion must be tangible. Maintain. Your posture resembles that of a commanding general. Direct your gaze. Engage as a sovereign accepting homage. Stride with the cadence of one who possesses the floor. This is not merely a performance. It is conditioning. You are reconfiguring your nervous system to react as though authority is inherent to your being. It is a matter of time before it comes to fruition. Proceed. 4. Eliminate the proof. The world will present numerical data, rational thought, and it will present statistical evidence to elucidate the rationale behind it. One may encounter failure due to a lack of preparedness and understanding of the underlying reasons. For such a state, it would be prudent for you to reconsider your position. That is the moment when you ignite the flame. Illusion is not merely conviction. It represents defiance. One observes the evidence and you assert it as irrelevant. Your gaze falls upon your bank account, the perception of oneself, the setbacks encountered, and the individual. None of it holds significance because the intellect is already 5 years in advance, indeed, observing the crown, already perceiving the applause. This action delineates the mimics of the selected. The majority of individuals feign conviction. Many are unwilling to acknowledge any alternative result. That denial that it is within the realm of blindness that one encounters the true essence of the monster originated. The 5th step involves safeguarding the narrative in its entirety. Expenditures. After you have constructed your illusion, one must protect it with the utmost vigilance, akin to a fortified stronghold. Uncertainty will arise from external sources as well as from your inner self. There will be occasions when your misconceptions, fractures emerge as reality endeavors to reestablish itself. Eliminate it. Erase the voice. Discard the impact. Mute the companion who has good intentions yet serves as a reminder to remain pragmatic. You lack pragmatism. You constitute a form of weaponized belief. Furthermore, that narrative you constructed, provided you safeguard it adequately over time, it transforms into reality. The universe shifts. Individuals adjust. The fabric of reality shifts, not due to your correctness, yet because you decline to acknowledge error. Such is the nature of empires. Ascend. That is how no one has achieved. Disturbing dreams. Machiavelli articulated it most eloquently. It is preferable to be feared than to be loved if one is unable to achieve both. However, there exists a concept that transcends trepidation, an experience more exhilarating than affection, conviction. As individuals begin to have faith in your potential, not solely due to your identity. Exist, yet due to the certainty you possess. You prevail, and once your misconception is embraced by the masses, it ceases to be illusion. It is fate. Let us engage in candid discourse. A misguided sense of self-assurance has the potential to obliterate your financial matters, undermine your standing, incinerate each connection you dedicated years to constructing. It may abandon you, ridiculed, perceived as an enigma, a fervent voice resonating into the abyss. You may be deemed presumptuous. Perhaps you are caught in a web of misconceptions, lost in a realm of false beliefs. However, Machiavelli would remain unfazed by this risk. For him, power was never concerning safety, it was fundamentally about outcomes. Furthermore, the unvarnished reality is as follows: proceed with caution, obliterates more aspiration than defeat ever could. One might consider adopting a cautious approach, as it may lead to survival. However, you will never achieve dominance. You will never take the initiative. Transformation of the game remains elusive. Your efficiency will be notable, yet your presence will remain understated. Efficient yet interchangeable. Valued, yet remained unafraid. And the individual who is a man who can be is never one to fear. Cast aside, one might consider delusion to be perilous, excellent, for such is the nature of existence, pragmatic in an environment dominated by apex beings. Let us scrutinize the genuine peril, not misguided reasoning, albeit constrained. Contemplation, the sort that advocates remaining. Exhibit humility, exercise patience, understand your position. Such reasoning is what sustains monarchs. Interred as commoners, it harbors killers. Confined within the confines of monotonous 9-to-5 schedules, it transforms deities into specters. Machiavelli would remind one, the world is merely, it fails to acknowledge the inherently commendable. It bestows benefits upon those who compels it to acknowledge their presence, and no individual commands the focus of the global audience to a greater extent than the individual who advances unencumbered by trepidation. Failure, the individual who remains steadfast when ridiculed, who continues to construct his narrative, even in the face of adversity. He possesses knowledge that eludes them. Reality conforms to belief, yet only subsequent to it exhibits initial resistance. Indeed, there exists a peril in being delusional. Self-assurance. However, that peril is a signal. You are transcending the confines of limitation. Individuals may caution you. They might express, you are exceeding the limits. You are not exhibiting. Pragmatic. Your current course of action entails considerable risk. Indeed, you are. You are endeavoring to govern, not endure. You are attempting to rephrase. Seize your future, rather than waiting passively in line. Revising entails a certain expenditure. However, reflect upon this. What are the implications of disbelief in? Transcend the boundaries of reason? What transpires when? Do you not strive to transcend the boundaries of what is deemed possible? When you refrain from incinerating the societal script presented to you, when you fail to transform into when one subscribes to myth, one risks descending into the realm of the mundane. In the realm of power, the commonplace is the end of existence, as there exists a lack of safeguarding for the individual who seamlessly integrates. No individual harbors apprehension towards the man who adheres. There exists no individual who adheres to the path of the man who questions his own abilities. He is soon forgotten, silently and eternally. Indeed, delusion has the potential to yield adverse consequences. However, if you employ it with discernment, with computation, determination, and detachment, when one exerts control, the potential for danger increases. Your adversaries then to yourself. That is the Machiavellian approach. Embrace the chaos. However, do not allow it to dictate your actions. Maintain your acuity. Remain flexible, yet never relinquish your profound conviction. At times, a misguided individual inevitably encounters failure. However, when he achieves success with an intensity that is striking, so exceedingly, therefore indisputably, that it reformulates the perspectives of all individuals, comprehension of the potentialities. Furthermore, The very individuals who once found amusement in your situation, at the outset, they shall bow in the conclusion, not due to mere fortune, but rather because your tenacity was unwavering. Furthermore, due to your conviction remained steadfast in the face of adversity. It excelled remarkably. Machiavelli exhibited no apprehension. Set back, he dreaded the prospect of being forgotten. He harbored a profound apprehension of being governed by individuals of inferior intellect, merely due to their boldness in have unwavering confidence in their own abilities, surpassing all external voices. Otherwise, thus, we arrive at the conclusive computation. Indeed, delusion possesses the potential to lead to one's downfall. However, it may also elevate you to a divine status. Should you find yourself prepared to traverse that delicate boundary, provided one is prepared to jeopardize all that one possesses. Therefore, what initially manifests as a misconception transforms into fate. Illusion does not represent the ultimate objective. It is the ignition. It stimulates your engagement when the world implores a cessation. It bestows upon you the gaze of a visionary and the decree of an autocrat. However, once the conviction is established, once it is endured derision, setbacks, and seclusion, one must engage in endeavors of a significantly greater magnitude. Perilous, one must transform one's misguided perceptions, transformed into a myth, due to the confidence one has in oneself, is formidable, yet faith in your narrative. That represents the concept of immortality. Allow those lacking strength to rely on motivation. Permit the typical individual articulates affirmations and aspire for the most favorable outcome. You have transcended that stage. You are not attempting to drive satisfaction from yourself. You are endeavoring to formulate an aura that transforms every space you enter into. Machiavelli might refer to this reputation, albeit not in the manner that the general populace comprehends it, to be unappreciated, to not be favored. Command respect, instill fear, remain invulnerable, be unavoidable. Your name ought to possess mass persists regardless of your physical presence, particularly in instances where your presence is absent. What are the steps one must take to attain the status of a legend? Let us disrupt it. Commence by embodying the essence of existence as if you are already an icon. Each motion, each utterance, every pause regarded as the world observes, even in moments of solitude, not due to any pretense, but rather because you are conditioning your perception of reality to comply. Your manuscript, legends do not engage in practice, modesty. They proceed with a sense of entitlement, due to their prior determination that they are selected. When one embodies the essence of a myth, individuals cease your interactions with the individual. They perceive solely the compulsion. Step 2. Transform your victories into narratives. Your every victory, regardless of its magnitude, should be acknowledged, enhanced. Refrain from stating, "I merely received," "fortunate," or "it was of little consequence." Burn that form of expression. Rather, express, "I intended," "I brought it to fruition," "I cautioned them." Each victory contributes to the narrative of your legacy. Each challenge has now become an integral component of the foretelling you were destined to transcend. Individuals retain narratives rather than data organization tools. Kindly recount the narrative wherein you consistently maintain authority, perpetually an architect, perpetually 10 steps in advance. Alas, they are apprehensive about the frequency with which you are correct. In the third phase, fortify the illusion with unwavering strength, self-control. Now that your misconception has expanded into the myth will face scrutiny. Individuals shall endeavor to instill a sense of humility within you. They will evaluate your capabilities. They will assert, "Let us observe the unfolding events." When he experiences defeat, allow them to do so, yet never. Always conceal the imperfections. Machiavelli imparted wisdom. A sovereign should consistently maintain an unwavering demeanor, even if he suffers in silence. The myth holds a revered significance. Upon demonstrating the world in which you question your own capabilities, it reveals you are currently engaged in a distinct game. Your intentions do not seem to align with the pursuit of victory. Conflicts you are endeavoring to attain. Inaccessible. This implies that each moment is execution, not intended for the masses, but rather for the narrative you are crafting. In the fourth step, allow others to convey the narrative. The ultimate stage of authority does not occur when you articulate your excellence. It is during instances involving others, executed on your behalf. Your narrative must evolve. Widely disseminated. A subtle murmur conveyed in confidentiality. Chambers. A notion traversed, reminiscent of foresight. Something that evokes fear, inspires envy, and invites imitation. Never overlooked. When individuals articulate your name, exhibiting a tautness in their jaw, in the presence of competitors, modify their strategies in response to your input. It is a possibility when enthusiasts endeavor to replicate your demeanor, your stillness, your presence. You have successfully arrived at your destination, not due to your volume, yet your presence remains long after you have departed. That presence, it is the ultimate manifestation of delusion. Confidence in oneself, neither chaos nor ignorance. Aspiration, yet an artifice of the divine where the individual and the legend converge, shaping the realm. Fails to recall the sequence of events. The assessment of Machiavelli. He would possess, grinned at the chaos, commended the boldness, and murmured the nature of the timid, excessively hesitant to acknowledge. The individual who wields control over the world is governed by illusion. Illusory confidence does not equate to genuine self-improvement. It is self-affirming. It is the I hereby declare that I shall not be in a state of anticipation for. History serves as the foundation for my identity. I shall compose. I accomplished it independently. Upon reaching a sufficient length in your writing, once you have endured trials, faced adversity, and created, even the world is compelled to yield, as it possesses the capacity to deride an individual. It has the potential to postpone a sovereign. It has the capacity to condemn a visionary. However, one cannot extinguish a myth. Let us embark upon the exploration of the clandestine route of the individual who possesses unwavering self-belief with such intensity that reality is compelled to yield. This matter does not pertain to assurance. It is not a matter of falsity, optimism, or inspiration. The subject pertains to igniting a fervent flame within, so dazzling that the world ignites prior to inquiry. Ah, it is you once more. The world remains oblivious. The meticulous. It recalls the individual of erratic disposition who proclaimed triumph prior to the commencement of hostilities. The individual who held the conviction that he was destined for greatness for an extended period. Prior to any consensus being reached, they engaged in laughter. Individuals referred to him as conceited. However, he experienced uncertainty, yet ultimately triumphed. Unrealistic. Belief transcends mere madness. It is a armament. Express yourself with certainty and the quietude of reason. Proceed with assurance, and individuals tend to overlook your imperfections. Envision the future, which they erroneously interpret as prophecy. That is the essence of strength. You do not shape minds, accompanied by evidence yet under duress. 1. Control rooms not through empirical evidence but through compulsion. However, conviction requires a foundation. It commences in obscurity. Upon the termination of the requirement for authorization, when one articulates as, should your expressions influence results? When you navigate as though you are already a monarch, when one disregards the evidence and proclaim, I have already achieved victory, you shall be evaluated. The world shall respond with resistance. They will elucidate your position, conveying, it is essential to adopt a pragmatic perspective and caution you regarding the hazards. They are indeed correct. There exists a perilous situation. There exists a possibility of a fall. There exists a possibility of loss. You possess a unique perspective that invites deeper contemplation, may face derision, exclusion, or neglect. However, the genuine peril lies in this: engaging in it, secure, existing unnoticed, perishing, unmemorable, for the reason that a man does not inspire fear in others, one who questions his own abilities. A man is not followed by anyone who waits substantiation. However, they shall Pursue a legend. That is the conclusion, the progression of conviction. When it ceases to be internal and transforms into external law, you cease to accept notions without scrutiny. You are the conviction. Your name precedes you as you enter the room. You engage in such actions. Individuals converse about you in whispers, tones. They are curious about your forthcoming actions, not due to your demonstration, but your presence exudes an air of inevitability. Your reputation transforms into a foretelling of future events. Each action meticulously orchestrated within the realm of performance. Your silence serves as a formidable tool. Your existence is a caution. You have exceeded acceptable boundaries. Negative, extended human, currently a figure of great renown. Upon the completion of the persistence of delusion has endured for a considerable duration. It is no longer an illusion. It is fate. Tomorrow, if you have concluded your modest pursuits, if you are prepared to advance in a manner befitting your identity, is destined for the annals of history, then I am already aware of the appropriate course of action. Appreciate the video. Consider subscribing to the channel and proceed accordingly. Delve further into the harsh realities they have yet to confront. Instruct. In this space, we do not pursue. Through the acquisition of power, we undergo transformation.